Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this fourth webinar in the series on why academia. I'm going to try and start to do this one a bit different by putting my video on and allowing you to see me. Not that there's that much to see, but it's still nicer to speak to a face and listen to an actual face. So I'm going to put that on. The reason why we usually do not put it on is because of the connectivity problems, the bandwidth that it may use. So if I see that we experience connectivity problems, I will put my video also off. I'm going to ask all of you to keep your videos off and your sound off, and mute your sound so that we give each other a fair chance to listen. But then when we get to a stage where you want to ask questions, we're not that big a group, I think we're about 12 people now, you are more than welcome to then put your video on and we can talk face to face. So let's see how this goes. If I experience any problems with the connectivity, I'll put my video off and just continue with sound. So welcome warmly to this fourth one in the series. The first 3 webinars was on academia with regards to the user experience. We did customization, integrations. We spoke about the technology and the hosting last week. And then this week is on cost efficiency. Then we will close off in 2 weeks' time. We were going to do a bit more on the soft skills side with a focus on change management within a student information system implementation project. And that is something that many times is overlooked, but is such a big factor in the success of a project like that, where it's important to change, control the people and the technology, but many times the people are the ones that is not recognized in this project. Sorry that I'm stopping, I'm just admitting more people. I'm going to ask Danzel to just do the admissions for the waiting room. So Daniel, will you please monitor the waiting room and admit any people that still join after this. And then with that, let me then also introduce the people. That is going to be the call from academia side. So from IFOCorp, Danzel, who I just spoke about, he's a senior project manager, and he's at this stage working on big student information system projects for the academia system, like the University of Stellenbosch, where they are in the implementation phase of the system. Then we also have on call Romano Domingo, and Romano is the account manager for the academia system. And if you start to communicate with us, and Nelly said negotiate, communicate with us, you will definitely speak to Romano more. Romano, can I ask you to please monitor the chat box for me, and then just compile and keep in mind if there's anything urgent, then we will address that while I'm busy with the presentation. Otherwise, I will address that at the end of the session. And Danzel is just going to monitor the new admissions in the waiting room. And then we also have Julene, who's the backbone behind organizing the academia webinars every time. And thank you, Julene, for doing that for us. The communication after the session, we will send out the recording of this, and also further communication will come from Jolene, and you could recognize her name from that. My name is Hanlie Spangenberg. I am the General Manager for the Academia Student Information System team, and I'm grateful to have all of you on the call today. Before I start with academia and the people that maybe should start with welcome back the people that has joined us for a few times now for these webinars. And you will see this same picture again. But then there are some people in here that is Danzel. I see there's somebody in the waiting room, if you can admit, please. Then I see there's some people that's new. And for the purpose of them, I'm just going to give you a very brief view again of where does academia fit into the picture of IFOCorp. So IFOCorp is a technology company. We're a South African-based technology company that works very widely in the African sector with a focus on bringing these education technologies to the African sector. And if I can give you a view of where we operate with regards to the software that we have. So we are resellers of some of these software and implementation partners, and some is our own products. But all of this manages the life cycle and the student experience at the institution, a college, a university, a school, any of these environments. So if we can start off with our learner management system, vast variety of services and products, and that is the most pertinent at this stage where everybody's looking at digitizing their content and managing their online classes, and that is exactly what we do. We do LMS, Learner Management System implementations, we do digital teaching and learning courses, we do content development, anything that the institution has in need to be sure that in this COVID-19 period, they are also continuing to be ready to offer classes online. Things like the fully online digital teaching and learning course is used widely, where it enables you to put your lecturers and your academic staff through courses in this period where lockdown is still applies, and enabling them to be ready to continue with their online classes. Then Turnitin. Now most of you are users of Turnitin, but that is the plagiarism detection software, and that allows you to make sure that the quality of the research and the assignments submitted by the students can be verified and see that there's no duplication and it's not copied from previous assignments and previous research, and that just gives accreditation to the courses that you and the qualifications that you offer. Mono Labs, very widely used for the communication via mobile apps, and the wonder about this is that you design your own apps without any technical skills. So we supply a framework and a platform that it runs on. You do, without any coding, the design via plug and play into this framework, and it's posted to the app stores without your involvement. So you don't need to go through that very painful and lengthy process sometimes to get any app approved by the Play stores. And then lastly, and I'm not going to stop and talk about all the products, only the things that I know is most of interest to you if you are looking at the student management side also, and then of course academia. And I think for today our focus will be on what does academia offer you with regards to cost efficiency or cost effectiveness. And I think we will start off with answering that question first to see what is the difference between those two. So if we look at academia and the whole discussion today, it includes the whole of the academia system with regards to the student cycle on the left-hand side, where we manage from campaigns and inquiries, admissions, registrations, residences, which of course includes the financial and the operational side of residences, the total academic management, the study material management, and again there is the interfacing, because we are already playing in the e-learning market very widely, the interfacing to your e-learning system for seamless integration, examinations, completion, so the whole life cycle of the student. That of course also includes the financial side of the student, so the generation of the fees, the setting up of the structures, the management of those fees, and scholarship management. All of this that you see on your left-hand side is managed online, available online in this period where you know you will not have any student come on campus. That is specifically what we cater for in the system, to make sure that you can continue with processes in a fashion where you don't lose out on the quality of the administration process, because some actions are needed for the student to be on campus. And then the system is supported by a structure in the middle of organizational rules, your system administration, and then your general component. So there's always that component that helps you to manage that side of the system. Then of course, communication, very important, and in any of the discussions about academia, and again today's discussion on cost efficiency, is the communication to your stakeholders. So there's numerous portals to stakeholders. I think what does put us above some of the competitors is that there's not only the traditional portals like student, faculties or lecturers and management, but we also have portals for parents, for sponsors, and you can define the type of portals that you want. Then, of course, the messaging part with regards to notifications and messages that you want to send out. There's a CRM embedded. It gives you the wide variety of ways in which you communicate and control the communication that is being sent to stakeholders and was sent to stakeholders. Reports on demand, dashboards, statistics, any way that you need to communicate with outside stakeholders. And sometimes your inside stakeholders, your management within the institution, your lecturers and your academic staff within the institution, as well as people like your students, which is of course one of your biggest stakeholders, but then also like governing bodies and the parents, if they pay their office, definitely a stakeholder. And that is what the academia picture looks like, managing that whole process of the student. And one of the value adds of this, again, it fits into a picture of a grouping of other systems that we have in the i4 core product set, like e-learning, like Turnitin, like your mobile development platform, that enhances the picture of the total life cycle of the student. And that is on the global side. So let's start to look at what we want to talk about today. Cost effective versus cost efficient. So usually if you look at the project and then you say, okay, let's see if this is going to be cost effective, and if you can prove that your project's been cost effective, then the people or the management is very happy, because cost effective, that's the ability to use the resources. Let's take this as cost in this instance, to achieve your objectives, your outcomes. So we bought a system, it costs this much, and we can manage the students on that. And everybody's very happy that you've achieved what you want to achieve. But that picture goes a lot further if you start to look at what is the definition of cost efficiency. And that is the ability to use less resources to achieve a greater outcome. And if we typically look at the Student Information System Implementation Project, less resources have got a direct implication on your initial project cost, because it's just less days that is used, and that of course have a staggering effect on the cost. Your annual maintenance and support, which of course definitely less resources if you don't need to pay that much. The cost of customization system additions. It's easy to start off with a project, and when this starts to pile up, it can still be a cost-effective project because you have budgeted for it, but as you go into the project, you see that these costs many times become scope creep and run out of the scope of that project. Cost of hosting, that's a very big cost in a project. And then human resources on the institution side, because less resources is not only on what money you're going to directly save, but it also has the implication on what's going to take off the personnel of the institution that's involved in this project. And that is going to be taken out of their normal work for a period to be involved in the setting up of a new system. And that is direct time and money based on the human resources that you use. So that is definitely one of the factors. You see my glasses is very shiny. I'm going to try and not use them. A very big part of the less resources, that is part of cost efficiency of a project. Then if you look at the greater outcome that you can achieve, what can be greater than the project has been completed? Of course, your stakeholder satisfaction. The better you achieve your project, the better, and not only the project, also the ongoing use of the system. Stakeholder satisfaction is a very big part of that, because stakeholders is part of the grouping that approves the system every time, and that continues to approve the budget for the system. The operational use of the system for the let's say academic staff in this case, definitely a greater output that you can achieve. Ease of reporting, that's also a very big factor, that sometimes you can get all this information into the system, but how do you get it out, and how do you get it out in the correct format to satisfy the stakeholder expectations on this ease of reporting. Then of course academic excellence doesn't help you if you've got the system and you can just do what you have to do. I mean, you want to achieve with this effort and money that you spend, you want to achieve academic excellence, and therefore you need to make sure that from the start you choose the right system for what you want to achieve and where you see your institution in the picture of academic excellence. And therefore, an SIS may sometimes be cost effective, but it may not be cost efficient. And don't aim for cost effectiveness if you can aim for cost efficiency, because that is where you can add the value to the institution to say that this system is not only cost effective, but also cost efficient. So what do you address if you want to look at this cost efficiency part? Well, I think one of the biggest things is the challenges in your management process. There's many other factors, but let's focus on one today, and that is the challenges in your management process. Because a student information system can operationally be as good as it is, but if it's from a management side, it's seen as a fail or a difficult system to manage, then you will never get the buy-in on the levels that you wanted. So what is the challenges? Inefficient and time-consuming processes from a management side. That needs to be addressed by the system that you use. Lack of data and visibility. Everybody sitting on their towers or their islands, working with what they have, but there needs to be visibility between data sets for all the people involved in this process. Poor stakeholder management, that is obvious, and that will come up many times because that is one of the biggest values of a proper SIS, and making sure that you use one that is cost efficient, because at the end of the day, you can pay for a Porsche, but you may need something much different, and then you've not achieved your cost efficiency sum. High communication costs, unstructured reporting, higher time and effort and monetary investment while you are achieving lower productivity. So if you look at what do you address with cost efficiency, make sure that you buy, choose and pay for something that in the challenges in your management process does not achieve lower productivity while the effort and the time and the monetary investment is much higher than the productivity. So those are things that you keep in mind when you start to look at how do I choose a cost-efficient system. So what is that? That is a system that gives you what? I want to look at something that's cost-efficient. What do I address with this system? You want to facilitate the flow of information to assist the processes of the institution. Again, that comes back to people working on their own islands, and there is no flow in this process. I started off to say that the student process at the institution and what is addressed by academia is a student life cycle. At the end of the day, you want your data to be part of that life cycle in the process that it assists in the institution with the student data. Provide a business platform by which the institution manages and integrates its important processes. Again, make sure that it allows you to manage your business in a better way. And this business part now focuses on the academic management of students. Collect and build data from various levels of institution academic processes. You're not working on an island, you want to make sure this data is available for everybody so that you do not have to duplicate data. Of course that everybody can see the data, but you also want to make sure that you've got one set of good data and not a list of many duplicate data sets that you have to manage at the end of the day. To automate your departments versus their processes and functions. And that is more on the academic side, to say that all these academic faculties or departments that you have, you want to make sure that the system assists them, because they are not IT people, they are academics. And the system must enhance or have enhanced role in their processes and functions. Easy access to data and information, but for example, via mobile application. It must be easy for everybody to access this data, and we will talk a bit later about the device independency of the system. And that is exactly where this aims at. You want to make sure that somebody does not only access or have access to data if they are in their office, on campus, with access to the data. And that is these days so easy to achieve with technology. You want to make the student management process leaner and leaner. You want to make sure that with this system that you buy, that is cost efficient, it must make your process leaner and leaner. It must not only reach what you've set, but going beyond that, so that enhances the total picture of what you achieve at the institution. Now, if you say that is on a cost efficiency basis what you want from a system, what value will you as an institution then get from this? Improved data management, improved institution operations, that is obvious, improved reporting, of course, improved stakeholder management, improved student communication, the empowerment and the drive of your academic staff to make them feel that we've got something that we are in control of and we can use that to enhance our own business. Increased return on investment. Where will you see that? Your student applications or registrations. The better your system runs, the more it enables you to use it also as a marketing tool for the student, for the reaching of students. And that will lead to enhanced student applications. Lecture retention. If the lecturer is happy when he works, he's got a system that really makes this worth working on. Lecture retention. Stakeholder satisfaction, we're going to see that a few times today. So those are the type of things that you can then say, this is, if I choose from the start, correct, and if I choose wisely, this is what I can achieve in my system, and this is where it can lead to something that is seen as 100% cost efficient for the role that I have chosen that. Okay, so that is theoretically what we want to look at if we say the academia system is cost efficient or cost effective. So I played around with the words in the
let me go.
Yes, with the invitation also to see that if there's a difference, if you feel there's a difference, I think after this I hope you have a feel that there's definitely a difference when you start to choose. But in the question, so what about the academia system? Where will this aid you in this cost-saving effort that you have? Now, it's important to take note that what we are looking at today is just part of, like we also said in the previous sessions, of a bigger picture. So the bigger picture is all these different parts. So we've looked at the user interface, how wonderful that is. We've looked at integrations and customization of the system and the technology side of the system. So not everything will be repeated here, and for that, the onus is on you to ask if there's things that you're unsure about. And I'm not going to go through all of the things that we've already seen, but with this one, I only want to focus on how can you save cost in this bigger picture. So if there's things that I speak about that you don't have the background on, feel free to ask. And I thought let's approach it by looking at, if you implement a SIS, a Student Information System, what are the cost factors in a project like that? The immediate cost factors, the once-off, as well as the recurring cost factors. And let us evaluate academia based on those cost factors. So I'll start off with technology. We are a technology inclined, but so academia makes use of open source, MySQL and Java. And why is that important? Because we all know that open source is a cheaper route to go, or a more cost-efficient route to go, but it's a cheaper route to go, and you don't have to pay a lot of money for different licenses for everything that you want to use. It is also a more modern way, and some of the old traditional systems that run on platforms that doesn't allow that, but I do believe that academia has been designed from the start to make provision for these new technologies, and that is why it's so easy for us to develop on open source technologies. Then academia is hosted in Microsoft Azure. The best value I can give you around that is that there's mainly two ways to for you to approach it. One is going for an Oracle-based system. That's not the only two, but in our sector, that's usually the two choices. One is going for an Oracle-based system, and one is going for a Microsoft-based system. Academia does not run on Oracle, which gives us the value that it can be very well hosted in a cheaper or more affordable environment. The minute that you start to look at hosting on Oracle, we all know that those costs become very, very high, and it's a very big factor in any project. Academia being hosted in Microsoft Azure, to use the end user, there is no additional cost for the hosting of the system. That is part and embedded in the academia licensing cost, and you don't pay an additional fee. That can vary from year to year, and that is dollar-based for the hosting environment, and you don't have to pay for things like the backups and the disaster recovery, which is also sometimes added an additional cost on other platforms. So there's no additional hardware and operating system cost in this hosted environment for academia. And that is a very big cost saving for the institution. It's also a cost saving when you start the project with regards to the licensing for the database or the platform. So there's no additional cost for the licensing. We all know that Microsoft is very lenient towards education institutions, and that cannot be said for all the companies where student information systems are developed on or used as the data is using the database of those companies. So that alone brings a big cost saving to the institutions. Then the system is device independent, which also means that from the start, anything that you do in the system can be achieved on any device, a laptop, a cell phone, a tablet, and you don't need to take the functionality and have it redesigned by a cost to fit on a specific device, or design additional applications on, let's say, a smartphone device, because you know the students does not have access to laptops, but what you want them to do, example of registration, is not optimized, available on a device like a cell phone. So because of the design principle of the system, everything in the system from the start is available, device independent on any device that you want to use. And that is a very big cost factor if you start to look at the cost of redeveloping standard system functionality on another device. So those things alone already is on technology level save you as an institution not only money, and I don't want to focus the cost only on money. It's actually about money and effort, because it takes a lot of effort to take a system and implement that. And then you also have to start to look at, how do I need to adjust everything to fit how we as an institution want to work? And that is sometimes a bigger cost factor than just the monetary value of it. Okay, so secondly, I'm going to just ask Denzel and Rumani if there's any questions that need to be answered while I'm talking. You're welcome to butt in. Otherwise, I will address it at the end. But if there's things that's urgent, just unmute yourself and you're welcome to talk. Okay, so let's look at the licensing, the maintenance, and the support of a system. So if you look at the proposal for a student information system, it usually starts off with the technology side to say that this is what the additional licenses for the database that you use. That's not relevant in the academia case. Then this is what the hosting annually will cost you. That's also not relevant in the academia case. Of course, you can run the system on premises, so on campus also. It is not only available in hosted, although I'm a very big advocate of hosting, but you can run it in any of those two scenarios. But so that's usually where it starts off. Then the second factor goes to licensing, your maintenance, and your support. If you look at the system, student information system, what are the things that influences those three factors? So the licensing is usually a once-off cost that you pay, or you can go into an annual licensing model where it's part of your maintenance and you pay annually for that, and support is also usually an annual cost. But what are the things that drives the value that a company puts to those costs? Again, the database that they used, because it may be a database where there's a very big licensing factor, and that will be passed on to you as a client. Where academia, there is no licensing factor, and that there's nothing to pass on to the client. And the hosting platform, which we just spoke of, the same there. If the institute or the company that supplies you with the SIS, the student information system, If they have to pay for hosting, that cost will come through to you as the institution. While in the case of academia, there is no additional cost for hosting, and there's no cost that will come through to you as the institution. Another factor that influences the cost for those things is the technology for development. That again comes back to the open source. So if you use a technology that is expensive for the developing company, you will bear the burden of the cost of that, you as the institution. So in the case of academia, there is no big technology cost for the tools that we use for development. Again, you get the value of that. Another thing that influences that is how easy is it to change the system? If the system is time-consuming and difficult in the sense of knowledge to change the platform that is used, the development tools that is used, then it will cost you as the institution to do that change. Academia, and we will get to that a bit later in the presentation, there's so many things that's within your own control to change. We do not need to go to IFOCorp or Celosoft, who's the developers of the system, to do that change. It's within your control. But secondly, also again, because of the open source technology that is used, it's easy to use tools. It's new technology tools that makes the development time and the cost of these changes a lot less than traditional systems. Then, how easy to add functionality to the system? That's exactly the same point as the previous one. If you want to add a field to a screen because your institution sits in Kenya, and in Kenya you have specific fields that is needed for statutory requirements or for regulatory reporting, those fields are not valid in any of the other countries, so it's not in the system yet. How easy is it for you to add them? Because that can be a cost to you as an institution. And again, the academia gives you the value of those fields can be added by the institution to the fields, up to the options where they want to use the fields, which just is a very unique and a big value add to the institution. Ease of use of the system. Why does that have a cost factor in your licensing, maintenance, and support? Because the easier it is to use the system, the easier it is for IFOCorp and Celosoft to support you on the system, so the less time and money is needed to support you. And therefore, look at how easy it is to use that system that you choose. Your upgrade methodology, and I'll quickly talk about that a bit later also, but very important. The way in which upgrade is managed within the system can be a massive cost component in a project, especially the ongoing cost of the institution for that student information system. And again, the academia will bring you a lot of value, and we will look at that in a while. So those things, ask yourself the question, the system that I want to choose, do they comply to these factors to make sure that we as the institution get the value of less cost for licensing, for maintenance, and for support of the system? I want to go one back and say this is one of the typical places where your stakeholder satisfaction will be determined by things like this, because management is seen as one of the stakeholders. The system that you as a student academic department or as an IT department in the institution, the system that you choose based on these questions will be the ones that enables you to answer the management stakeholders who say that this what we have chosen is cost effective, the academia system, because of the following factors. That is something that you must take into account when you start to look at choosing a system. Okay, so let's look at the next component, which is the implementation part of the system. So again, I think if you look at the system, it usually starts off with a costing proposal. Here, there's the technology, what it will cost you. Then this is going to be your licensing and your maintenance and your support on the system. And now let's start with the implementation. Only now you're going to start to get the system on site. So what is the cost on that, and how can academia be of value to you to make sure that you choose efficiently from the start.
Lee,
Yes.
I just want to address a few questions that came up on the chat box. I'm just going to read it to you. Okay, first one.
Why don't you stop there? Can I just introduce? This is Romano Domingo. He's one of the academia account managers. So you're welcome to show it first if you want, Romano. Otherwise, just welcome. Yes. Give me the question.
Sorry, everyone. Looks like I've lost my menace. Apologies for that. Let me just share my screen with you. Okay, there's a problem with that, so I'm just going to go ahead and read the question. First question is, how does academia support GDPR? And that's from Manifer Nafukwe. How does academia support GDPR?
And as I have no idea what GDPR is, maybe I can ask you to come on site to ask a question, just explain what you mean with that question.
Nada, boy.
Romano, who posed that question?
Yeah, it's me, Daniel.
Yes.
Yes, I'm Daniel. I'm from Ghana.
Hi, Daniel.
Yes.
Hi, Daniel.
We are in Africa, all right, but we do happen to have a lot of kids from the EU nations. And if you've heard of the GDPR, it's got to do with data protection. So how does academia support that? How are we assured of learner details? How do you protect the data we put in your system? And my next question also has to do with the IB World School. We are an IB World School. We've been using Turnitin for quite some time, so I know your firm. Now, we work with the IB, and if you're familiar with the IB, they have their processes that is a bit different from Cambridge and other institutions. How does academia support schools that run the IB program? Because if you take 10 schools that run the IB program, you'll find 9 out of 10 using ManageBack, or even 10 out of 10 using ManageBack, and its accompanying SIS, which is the ISAMS or some other SIS. Now, how does your system, academia, match up to this other systems?
So let me see if I can answer the second question first. None of the structure, so whatever model you use, it has to do with what is the structures and what is the rules that you as an institution apply. Now, all the structures and all the rules in the academia system is set by you as an institution and is customized according to how you run your institution. So there is no fixed set of structures, the data within those structures. There's also no fixed set of rules, but the system is parameter driven so that you can define these rules, and there is massive parameters to make sure that you can adjust the rules that is applied by the system so that they fit you as an institution. So with implementation, these rules that is applicable to how you run whatever model you run in your institution, that is set up in conjunction with the academia team from by your institution in the system to make sure that how you run your academic methodology or academic structure that you use, that is applied according to whatever structure used by the rules of the system. So that is not a fixed format that we enforce. We use the structures and the rules that you have to make sure that the system applies them to fit your needs.
Oh, okay. I joined in a bit late, but I did catch the end that you did say your system is an open source system. Now, from what you just said, would I be wrong in saying if I were to like sign on to academia, it will come with no content and we have to populate it from ground zero?
You're wrong, you're right and you're wrong. No content and there's no data in the system, but you don't populate that from zero, and that is
yes.
implementation.
I'm not referencing the database we're going to put in there, because definitely it's if I'm purchasing the system, then straight away you have no details of what I do. But I'm not looking at student data, staff data, and things like that. But for instance, if I purchase a system that is going to run my academics and stuff, there are standards ascribed standards out there. If you go to Cambridge, Cambridge has its standards. Now, does academia, as a team or as a system, do you guys have links with this organization, say the IB? Because some of the content you've got to have rights to be able to pull. FLCOP, you guys are up there, we turn it in, and we cannot just, it took me like 6 months to get something deleted. So you have your own rules. These other institutions do have their own rules. Let's say if we were to purchase your system now, can you pull, let's say, the IB standards, what we need to be able to function as an IB World School? Can you pull that into your system without any restrictions?
Hanley, if I can answer.
My first technically yes, but I want to take this to a level where let us discuss this individually, because this is no answer, and this is based on the institution, on the country, the technologies need to use it, but I want to make sure that we answer you based on what you've asked. So I'm going to pop that question. Can I ask that we discuss it afterwards? We can dialogue after the session so that everybody that wants to hear the answer can stay. Otherwise, we can organize the next session for this. Yes, Denzel, who was talking?
Yeah, it was me. Sorry. Yes. The IB and the Cambridge have got their own sets of rules and regulations. So what we do as an academia team is we don't pre-populate rules and regulations and guidelines and things. We come to your institution and we ascertain what the requirements are, and then we take that requirement. And Hanley spoke about central structures earlier. Those are the central structures, whether it's an IB requirement or a Cambridge requirement, whether it's different levels within Cambridge that you need to set up within the system. That is what we take back from the institution and we define it in the system so that it caters for those rules as per the IB requirements. As for your authorization, we have authentication tool embedded in the system that's based on OAuth2 authentication functionality. So you have to be a registered user within the system in order for the system to return a token for you with your password to allow you to log on to the system. If your details have not been pre-populated and defined within the system, you will not have access, or OAuth will not return a token with your credentials and give you the access that you require. For the protection of information, the academia system is based on roles per user, per department, per level, per faculty, per campus, and how you as an institution want to have stringent controls with regards to access to information. We base those rules based on what you provide us.
Thanks, Denzel. Okay. I think let's park that question there. When we finish, and if you still want to talk about it, please just leave a note in the chat box. And then when we say goodbye, we'll continue and continue to answer that question. Okay. Romano, was there anything else that you need to address before we continue?
Yes, Annie, there was another one. I just wanted to let John know that we'll also park that one for the end, but let me read it to you anyhow. It says, how does an institution get to sign up for the system? And I think you'll give us some details of that more towards the end of the webinar.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So the answer is easy. You can easily sign up, but let's discuss that afterwards also. Okay. I think with that in mind, Romano, stop me if there's again questions that we can answer as we go along. Let me go back to the implementation side. So why is implementation important in cost savings? Well, it's very obvious. So implementation is a direct factor of that is time. Time equals money. It also equals on-site costs. So if we look at time, if we say the implementation project is 30 days, or the implementation project is 300 days, you pay per day usually, so that is the money. but you also have to pay for the resources that is on site from the company. So there again, there's a big cost factor or saving in the period of the implementation process. And then, of course, your institution resources, because the longer the implementation project continues, the more from your internal resources are used. And that again is equal to their time and money to the institution. So it is a ripple effect that every day that you add to an implementation project has got a ripple effect on the cost that it can either save or that you spend on that project. And that is why it's important to look at the implementation time and not only at the cost of the implementation that was put up front in a project, because that is sometimes not the true picture of what it will cost you to do the implementation. So academia makes use of an implementation model where we try and consolidate actions, but also make sure that from the start, we speed up the process so that we don't go through this traditional very long cycle before you start to get to actually work on the system. So the data sheet creation is one of the things, for example, that speeds up the implementation process a lot. We give you data sheets, and that comes back to the question that I've just answered on do you get the system with no data in? Those data sheets is to enable you to put your structures into the system without knowing the system yet, so that you start off with a system that's got your structures in, but it's your structures specific to what you've given. We give you the data sheets, you complete your structures on those data sheets. Doesn't matter what model you use on academic level, and these data sheets is then uploaded into the system, and off you go to start to use and be trained on your own data. So it's not only to do with student data and your personnel data and your fees that is outstanding. This has to do with the generation of your own structures on the system to make sure that from the start you have them, but you do not have to go through a 3, 4, 5 month period where you are trained and assisted to get those structures on the system before you can start to enhance your knowledge or be trained on the system. Then we make use of a modular implementation that allows you to also go live modular. So looking at your calendar, what is the most important process? Of course, there's a dependency between some of the processes, but what is your most pressing part that you want to start with? When is the next cycle of that in your institution? And that guides the modular implementation. Let's take a very logic part. We want to start off with inquiries and applications. Take the data sheet, you enter your data for the structural part of that. We create that on the system. We as in Xerosoft and IFOCOP, we create that on the system. You get trained on how that works. Of course, the beginning of this is always a gap analysis or a discussion around how does your business work and how does it marry with what the system offers you. So that you start with this analysis and to make sure that we understand your business. And that is a very intense period, but we are very specific in that period to make sure that you do not start off with something that needs to be changed later. So that is usually a very intense part. But then that module is completed, it can go live, you can start with that, and then we get to the next module. So a modular approach makes it a lot easier to get the system up and running bits and pieces, and it makes your implementation cycle a lot shorter because it takes a part, completes that, you can let that people go, and you start with the next group of people that work on the next section. Now we go to, let's say, examinations, the people that work on inquiries and applications. Further down the line, they don't work on examinations, so they don't necessarily need to be part of that part of the whole project if you do it in one big whole again. So that is definitely one of the things that makes the whole implementation model a lot shorter. Because we all know that the system is only as good as how you implemented it, and then it goes from there. So you can already have a fail in a project on the level or the part of the implementation process. Okay, user-friendly interface. If there's yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. But if you've attended the other session, you would have seen how user-friendly the system is. Easy to work through, fields that guide you, a menu structure that allows you to see the process of how things, what is the flow of the process, and you can see their structures, then you get the operational side, then you get the reporting side, and then the structure can guide you through that. So that makes the system very easy to use. That means it's quick for the users to learn the system. In tools like the search function within the menus, that if you forgot something, you can easily just search and see where that option is or that data set is. Those are the things that makes the implementation project much, much quicker, because the end users are the ones that usually takes time, and that makes, if the system is difficult to use, and that makes your project so much longer. And then, yeah, it's easy to understand for the operational users because it is driven by the way in which the menus are set up. And so process can be guided by the menu structure, and you can see this all belongs to the first part of the setup of a structure. Then this is how we start to maintain the options. This is where we do the data entries. And then most of the data entry is done from any device online session. So that makes the entry of the data no platform, because everybody's used to going to a platform that they've not used before and started to, you want to order something online, you want to go to internet banking and use that. And all those type of user options works in the same user friendly what the system brings to. It's not a fixed formal platform where you have to know the ins and outs of the platform before you can start to use the system. While it doesn't give away anything on the functionality and effectiveness on how it operates. This implementation can be such a big factor in a project that it can make it impossible for an institution to go past, you can afford the system continuously, but to go past that first hurdle of get the system implemented. And academia aims to keep this implementation cost as low as possible, because it's easy to do that if you've chosen the right technology and the right system methodology from the start. Okay, so then let me park implementation. I get so passionate. I'll continue to talk to you about implementation for a while, so let park that. I want to read this to you with regards to the implementation. The one rule, if you look at the system side, and that is what we have applied in academia, is keep it simple. Today's organizations are flooded with data. If you look at all the data that's relevant to your student management side, documents, spreadsheets, physical mail, email, shared files, the list goes on. Any solution you bring to the table, so the academia system, should help to simplify your institution's processes and data and not add to the chaos. Make sure the solution you are offering, in other words, the academia system, will really help the organization cut through the clutter and help them harness their data in a practical way. And that is what we can assure you if you start to look at the academia system, the way in which it has been designed, the way in which it will be implemented. It's with the principle in mind, keep it simple, yet effective. Okay, then I think the next one, let's look at the customization. Now you've implemented, and usually this is one of those hidden costs that jumps on board after a project, one of the cost factors in the SAS project, and now you only get to the part where you say, I like, but you know, we use this a bit different, we have this field, or we don't use that field name like this. And then the vendor says, well, that is great, of course we can change it, but it will cost you. And that is one of the big values that the academia system brings to the table, that it will not cost you, because many of these things is within the control of you as the institution to customize them. Now we know customization is very dangerous, because you have a view in your mind what you want to do, you can customize, and you can end up with Bob. And Bob is not necessarily something that you can use. But in the academia system, we try to make that customization of such a nature that it doesn't cost you money and you can do it yourself. because that gives the control to you as an institution. Now, we had a session on the customization. I'm not going to repeat everything there. And if you have a need to see that, you can leave a note and Jeline will send you the recording of that session. Or you can tell me and we can redo that webinar just for your institution and we will go through the customization part again. But the system allows you to customize within a process. So for that example is your application process. You can take the application online form and it's from the implementation of the system 100% customized on what do you want your application process to look like? How do you want the students to experience it? And what is important for you as an institution in this application process? And the system is customized to fit your needs with that from the implementation process already, so that you don't start off with an application screen, option, link. That's not exactly what you want, but that's what the system comes with standard. From the start, it's one that you want to use in your own environment. Then it customizes the information to the end users. So what data you show to end users. And I think here I want to specifically focus on the dashboard. So we have a very strong drive to supply information through push delivery to the stakeholders. Now that stakeholder again, maybe your student, maybe your personnel member, maybe your academic personnel or your administrative personnel. It may be your parent, it may be your management. And we customize the set of data that we push to them and display to them to make sure that they have a focused feed of information for what we want to show to them. And that is an easy way you customize those dashboards. You decide what is shown to whom and what information you want to show. And that gives you a lot of control on the communication of information to your stakeholders. Customizing of the screens. If you've been in the previous session, you would have remembered that you will remember that you can add a screen option to a screen. So you can say that being Kenya, as my previous example, we have a specific field that is needed that we don't have here in the system at this stage, and you can add that to the screen for in any of the options where you want it relevant. You can hide fields from the screen. So if there's fields that you don't use, you can hide them and make sure that they don't display. You can change with the implementation of the system the naming convention of the field. So whether you use qualification or program, whether you use subject or module or course, when you implement the system, those naming conventions are changed according to your institution, and then it's implemented like that so that when you print, when you look at the screens, you see your own naming conventions. That is, why do I mention it here? Because that is a massive cost saving to an institution that has got specific naming conventions. If you don't use program, but you use qualification, and the system comes with program as the naming convention, it's very difficult for you now to say that we want to change the naming convention to something that fits our own needs. And it will definitely cost you. Now in academia, it will not cost you. You can, from the start, say this is the naming convention that we want to use, and the system must be implemented with this naming convention. Be cost saving to your institution. The customization of reports. Well, firstly, if you look at the report on a screen, that data set, you can again add fields, hide fields by simply the click of a button. I want to see these following fields. If you remember from the previous session, click on specific fields and they will be taken away from your screen for that session that you work in. I want to see these fields, add fields to the screen until you're satisfied with the report that you've generated or the list of data that you've generated, and then you can print it from there. So very easy to customize a report, the same report based on what are your needs in this specific instance that you have generated the report on the data set that you want, and you can change it for that instance. So that is an extremely easy way. What is the alternative of that? Every time that you want to generate a set of data or a report, comes in a fixed format, you now have to take it and download it to Excel and start to manipulate it, or you have to ask the vendor to customize and change the fields that is displayed, and that will cost you. This is within, again, within you as institutions' control on, we want to change the report, we want to change the data sets, add things, take them away. And none of this under customization, within a process, like, of course there's restrictions within a process, because if there's things that's not in the system, those are things that will need to be added. But within a process that's existing in the system, like our application process looks different. This is the format of the application form that we want. A customization of the data that the end users for display purposes, the screens, the reports. None of that comes with a cost to the institution. That is all part of the functionality within the academia system. There you save money as the institution. Okay, so that is just a view. I said, so this is specific, for example, what a screening system looks like. If you look at the field, which one can we change? Title, no, that's saturation, but we don't want to use any of these fields. If you don't use those field names, you can change them and they will display differently for your instance of implementation from the start when you implement. If you want to add a field to a screen like this, you as an institution has got the ability to now say, in our inquiry process, we have additional data that we want to capture and you add it to the screen. If you look at the report, for example, this is application report list. You can see all the applications. I simply click on these fields, right click and click to take fields away or to add fields for display on the reports. That easy it is before I now generate and download the report. That easy it is for you as an institution or an individual, not even an institution, but as an individual to customize the data that you want to work with. Okay, so I see that is a very long discussion that we can have around that. I'm not going to re-have that discussion now, but you're welcome to ask for a more detailed part on that. Okay, then lastly, let's look at the upgrades of the system. Now, I briefly spoke about upgrades. Upgrades in student information systems usually comes in two ways, either waterfall or agile. Now, most of the traditional systems comes with a waterfall approach. So they do a lot of development in 24 months. You don't see that development in that period. You don't get the value of that development in that period. Although the functionality or the market sector has changed or the technology is available in the market, you still don't get that. You only get that at the end of the period when you do the implementation of a new release or an upgrade. That comes with a big cost and it comes with a big project. Now that big project has to do with this downtime in your operations, your server is put off, all the trainers must be trained, all the people that's involved must be trained on this new functionality. You've got a break in productivity, you're offline for a period, and now everybody's, after 36 months, you've done this, and now everybody's back on, and you've got all these new changes. So that is a waterfall approach. And traditionally, that has been the approach because that is the way in which the systems has been designed. Academia from the start has been designed on a principle of an agile release. It just means that none of these things like a big cost and a huge project and downtime and everybody that must be trained for 2 weeks to see how the system has changed, none of that is applicable because the system is released every 3 months in short cycles without a big downtime or a big user training process on things that is developed and designed all the time. So your users, if we have added a chatbot, for example, in the academia system, they don't wait for 36 months for the release upgrade to get that. Within 3 months, as the system is released, they will get the newer technology, the changes in the system. It's a small piece that is released, so they don't have to have downtime and everybody stop what they're doing and they get now trained on a lot of things that has changed. So it's a continuous process of small releases. The biggest value that is it costs you nothing. In a waterfall release, it's usually a huge cost in a project because there's a lot of actions that needs to be managed in a project way and a lot of actions at the institution. Agile release, like the academia system, there's no cost to you. We've added to the system, we've changed the system, we release it to you, you continue and start to use it without any cost to you. And that can be, if you start to look at the continuous affordability of a system, that can be a very huge cost factor that is taken away in the academia projects, or in the academia continuous use of the system. Okay, so if you look at what is the cost factors in the SAS project, usually the technology, then the licensing and maintenance and support is a big factor, then comes your implementation project, you want to customize in that project, and you want to upgrade to make sure that you stay in the newest release of the system. I think if you look at the factors around that, then the question, like they usually say, is not to ask, what will it cost you? But what will it cost you if you do not have the academia system? Because the academia system gives value on all these levels with regards to cost efficiency. It's got a value add in each of these components that makes it, for you as an institution, important enough to look at, choose a system, choose academia that is efficient in managing the cost that you spent with regard to the outcome that you expect from institution side. And I think that is where I'm going to end off this session. Before I open for questions, I just want to highlight again that now our last session in this webinar series on why academia is going to be on the 24th, and that is around how do you do the change management to ensure that your users are ready for a project where their lives, and not only end users, but also management, where their lives is going to be different afterwards, and definitely better if they start to use academia, but it's still going to take some effort from their side. How do you manage that? Okay, I think with that, let me open up to Romano again to ask any questions. Denzel, you could also prepare if there's anything that you want to add, you're welcome to add it after this. But let me first ask Romano if there's any questions that we need to address.
Hi everyone, it's Romano again. Sorry for that. Annie, so we're going to go back to the question that Mr. John left, which was, how does an institution get the sign up for the system? Okay, so I think the way to approach that is to start a conversation. Do you want us to do a live demo for you online? Well, now it's difficult. Usually I would say, do you want us to visit? But now it's a bit difficult with COVID restrictions still in place, but it shouldn't put us off from proceeding. So Jolene is also going to send out contact detail where you can contact me. If you're in certain areas, I'm going to transfer you or refer you to Denzel, because, for example, Denzel has been operating and operational in Ghana for many, many years, and he has done many student system implementations in Ghana. Also well known with the country and the education sector there. So if you're from Ghana, I'm going to refer you to Denzel. Let's organize for an online demonstration. Let's start with conversations and see where that goes from. So I think leave your contact detail. Jolene will send you some detail, and I will make sure that the correct person continues with you. I think let's start the conversation as soon as possible. I also maybe want to say that we are not hindered in our actions by this lockdown period or this period where travel is difficult. We are busy with academia implementations in South Africa and in India at this stage, where we do everything online. So we've started with a requirements analysis of going through your structures online. We did the data sheet compilations and discussions online, and now we are continuing with the training online. So we do not need to stop the project until business is back to as usual. We have continued with projects, and we can in your country continue with projects for implementing the academia system fully online in this period. And then there's another question from, let me just go to my notes, from Mr. Dino or Mr. Dineo, which said, why should I get rid of a system like ManagePEC or iSense for academia?
I think the first question is, are you happy with what you use? Because if there's any gaps in what you use, ask me and I will tell you how academia can address those gaps. So if you have gaps in the way in which the communication tools in your system, the reporting tools in your system, the functionality to change in your system, those are the things that we know we can address with academia. Also, if you have gaps in functionality modules in your system, do you do inquiries? Does your system allow for inquiries? Does it allow for the fees? Does it have its own mobile application that comes with the system with no extra cost? Do you have portals for your stakeholders? If your system does that, then it's a different discussion on, I can save you money. But if your system that you use does not have that functionality, that is the first part that I can tell you. We can give you all of those things with academia. Because that is part of your cycle of student management. You don't want to manage half a cycle of your students. And I do believe there's none of the student cycle that you cannot address with the academia system. If your system does all of that, then I can still tell you, I think we can do it for cheaper or more cost efficient because we use technology that allows us to do that. We use resources that knows how to implement the system quickly. We've got a model for implementation that goes a lot quicker than other systems.
And then there's another question from Mr. John that says, do you run PD courses on teaching online?
We run, courses?
Do you run PD courses on teaching online?
Yes, so if you're asking, I'm sorry, Ramon, I think my connectivity is a bit bad, but so if the question is, do we have courses where you can fully online teach your academic personnel on how to do online courses? Yes, absolutely, that is one of our strong points. We have a division that does online training, you get accreditation through those courses that you do, and there's control over the whole process. You get certified afterwards, so yes, we do.
Okay, Mr. John said he meant for short courses online.
Sorry, Romano. Danza, if you can hear the question, maybe you can answer. I think it's my connectivity. I can hear Romano speaking, but I'm not sure I hear the question.
Well, I'm not 100% sure with what you mean with short courses, but on the online teaching courses we definitely do have. We have structured in terms of we've scheduled throughout the year, or we can individualize that. And as Hanley has mentioned, it's accredited courses. They are short in nature, and we have various levels for these online teaching accreditation courses.
Thanks, Danza. I can maybe, if as I said, I may have missed something, but the academia system also allows for the institution to manage short courses. I just did the short course part. So you can also in the academia system, as an institution, manage your short courses in a fully cycled way. So it's the payment of the courses, the registration for them, the structure around them, that is also offered in academia. More questions, Romano?
As far as that was the only ones that we've had today.
Okay. Before I put it, if you have any more questions, please use the chat box or unmute yourself and just raise your hand and say you want to speak. You're more than welcome. Otherwise, is there anything that you want to add from your side? I mean, you've been working on big projects, as I said, like the Stellenbosch one, and there may be things that you want to highlight with regards to the cost efficiency or what you have experienced.
Yes. The purpose for today is basically seeing how cost effectiveness and efficiency, and when you do an academia system implementation, it's sort of you can go and measure it against other implementations that you've done before. It sort of cuts your time in half. And the reason for that is we have a strong center of excellence that we use and have the educational knowledge to actually do these data transfers and integrations. We've gone through a lot of institutions. We have foolproof recipes. If you have other systems that you need to plug and play, we have over 350 already developed APIs in place that allows the clients to plug and play whatever they have. So it makes, and there won't be any additional development costs for that, for instance, for the already existing APIs. So it makes the academia system much more favorable to implement at your institution. Apart from that, and we had a question the other day with, what if my internet is down? The student as well as the lecturer has got an app, which is the latest technology stack, has got an app available so they can easily use their mobiles or their smartphones to actually execute some of the actions. And it makes it just such a much more flexible system in a back end or back office system that a lot of institutions have.
Thank you, Denzel. I agree. Thank you. Okay, are there any more questions, Romano? I think we're on time. Oh, we're far on time. You see, if you put the woman in charge of speaking, it always takes a bit longer. Sorry, I see we've run over time. Romano, any more questions before I close off?
No, there's not any more questions. I just want to let everyone know that with what John asked us with regards to the link that we've sent, I just want John to note that in the chat box, Jolene has sent a link that you can click on, look at some of the short line courses and some of those questions that was asked. When you click on that link will then direct you to some of the questions that you had with regards to online learning and teaching.
Thanks, Romano. I also want to offer you an open invitation. If from your institution side you want us to organize an online meeting, to do a more detailed demo on the system, to explain the value adds that the system can bring to your management, please get in contact with us and we will make sure that we make contact with you, and we are very eager to start conversation. And as I said, we do not need to wait until things are on-site friendly again. We are ready to continue with this in an online fashion. But then thank you everybody. I really appreciate your time. And I hope to see you in the last one in 2 weeks' time. And if you want us to repeat any of these webinars, also let us know and we will just continue. We are going to repeat the series again, but if there's individual ones that you want to have repeated for your own knowledge or institution, also let us know and we will do that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.